Oh, hello everyone. Before we start on today's episode, I wanted to let you know about the drawing that we did on Memorial Day. Remember, if you subscribed and let us know, we would draw 10 out of the first 100 and you know who you are. I sent you the email. You can start today. You have access to the online program for free. So let your friends know about us. Thank you so much. Keep watching. Let's get back to the episode.
Who let the dogs out? Who let the dogs out?
Welcome to Who Let the Dogs Out, the podcast designed to help you enjoy life with your best friend without all the frustrations. Join us each week as we help families across the country do just that. I'm your host, Corey, and I'm joined with my co-host.
I'm Sally.
Hello, hello.
Hello.
All right, so we've got another dog talk coming down the pipe for you. Now, we do have a few formats on the show that you can be looking for. We've done a handful of Q&As so far. This is our second dog talk that we've done. Q&As are where you can send in a question. If they want to send in a question, they can reach me at Corey from Wonderdog, and they can reach you at
Sally at wonderdogtraining.com.
Yep, you can DM me or you can email her. Dog Talk is where we come on and we talk about a topic related to dogs, dog training, dog owners, things like that. Other formats to be looking out for are interviews with guests of different people in the dog industry, live shows, hosting debates between dog professionals, things like that. So be looking out for those long term. But today's episode is a dog talk, and me and Sally wanted to bring you two of the biggest mistakes that I see dog owners making as a dog trainer. And so before we jump into that though, I want to say if you get value out of the show, feel free to share the show. Every time you share the show with a friend, family, colleague, you help us accomplish our mission of helping another family with their dog. Our goal is to help everybody with their dog, whether we're the ones that get the opportunity to train them or not. We want everybody to get help with their dog and enjoy their dog without all those frustrating things like jumping, potty, and pulling on the leash, things like that. And so every time that you help us by sharing the show, you help another family. So if you get value out of the show, feel free to share it. And with that being said, we're going to jump into the two biggest mistakes that I see dog owners making as a dog trainer. But first, I'm going to give Sally the chance to guess what's one of the biggest mistakes you think I'm going to talk about? Or how about this? Over the years that you've heard the trainers complain about clients and stuff, what are some of their bigger complaints that you
Oh my gosh.
see?
I think
Just give me one.
I think the biggest that pops into my head is not doing their homework.
Yeah. So when we sell people training, we give them homework. And how long per day are they supposed to practice when the trainer's not there?
20 minutes.
Yep, super
and
easy.
they can break that down into little smaller chunks,
Yep,
like
2
5
10s,
minutes
or
or 2
5s,
10s.
yeah.
So it doesn't have to be like
All
a
at once.
set time of day,
Yep.
20 minutes.
Yep. And so it's not a huge time commitment.
It's not.
Funny enough, I didn't even think about that as being one of the biggest mistakes, but yeah, that's probably one of the biggest mistakes. I had two totally different mistakes.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So here they are. I'll lay them out first and then we'll kind of expand on them. But the biggest mistake I see, number one, that people make is one, just not listening to their dog trainer. And the second mistake is just not continuing to do what works.
Yeah.
Before I jump into those though, I want to say that one of our principles here for our employees particularly is we don't judge the dog, we don't judge the owner, and yeah, we don't want to judge anybody or their dog for what their dog does.
No.
And the reason for that is because like I see a lot of dog trainers will get on Facebook or this or that and they'll talk like, oh, this client signed up and their dog does this or they don't know anything or whatever it is. And I hate seeing stuff like that.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is because if a dog owner knew everything, there wouldn't be any need for them to hire us.
Exactly. Why would they be calling us for dog training?
If their dog was a Wonder Dog pre-training, they wouldn't need to hire us. And so
No.
we expect people to come to us with problems that their dog has. We expect people to not know everything that we know about training. And so we're not judging dog owners whenever we say all this stuff. And on top of that too, we don't judge other dog trainers. You're not going to ever hear anybody at Wonder Dog talking poorly about another trainer, but especially dog owners and their dogs. And so all that to be said, if you do feel judged by this podcast, I mean, I'd say if the shoe fits, wear it. So if you do one of these mistakes, then you are kind of being called out right now. And the reason for it is not to be mean, but because we care about you, we care about your dog, and we want the best for you and your dog.
And they can turn it around.
Yeah, 100%. So with that being said, I guess this might end up being titled the 3 biggest mistakes that we see dog owners making. But we'll start with just the 2 for now.
Yeah.
So the number 1 is just not listening to what their dog trainer tells them. And so like I just got done with a round of clients at the beginning of the year. We had 2 trainers leave and I took over all their clients. And I had a ton, I think like 40 people I was working with at a time, at one time. And so one of the biggest mistakes that I see people making is just not listening. Now when I think about people not listening to what I tell them, I break it down into like 2 categories that somebody might not listen to their trainer. So category number 1 is they're just not listening for no reason or because they think they know better or this or that. That would be like not listening number 1. Not listening to their trainer number 2 would be that like they intuitively feel like something is off with what they're being told and they think that it is bad or dangerous or this or that. I would say that if you have that feeling, there's probably a good reason for it. In some cases, so if your trainer's telling you to do something, and you're just super not comfortable with it, then I could totally understand not listening. And that would be a conversation that you would need to have with your trainer. Let's just say that it's me though, and I'm your trainer and I tell you to do something and then you just don't do it. That is annoying to me. If you have a problem with it, let's talk about it. Ask me a question. Let's break it down. Ask me a question. If you really still don't like it, maybe we can think of a different route to take or something like that. If you think you know better than me, talk to me about that too. I definitely learn stuff from clients that like they've got little bits of information that I didn't know about this or that or whatever it is. So yeah, that's definitely a possibility too. But if you think you know better, let's have a conversation about it. But just because you watched a YouTube video one time, you spent a lot of money to have us train your dog and you spent really good money. And then to you to just not listen though is not great for you or your dog because your dog is not going to get the benefit. You're not going to get the full benefit of getting your dog trained and getting the service and things like that. So if you hire a dog trainer, I would suggest just listening to what they say. You called an expert for a reason, right? This is no different than if your car's broken down, you can watch some YouTube videos on fixing your car for sure and maybe do some simple stuff. But if your engine goes out or your transmission, I don't know anything about cars, but if something goes out, you probably should hire a mechanic. And then you should probably hire a mechanic to fix it. And if you do hire a mechanic and they tell you what needs to be done and you're just like, nah, I just don't care. I'll just drive it anyways or whatever it is. Then it's like, what was the point in hiring the mechanic to diagnose your car and tell you what's wrong with it and tell you how to fix it if you don't do it, you know?
And things just get worse.
Yeah, exactly. Now my suspicion for this, is like, it could be that it's problematic and they don't like the method or the exercise or this or that. That could be one. And like I said, if that's the case, you got to be honest with whoever's training your dog. Just tell them how you feel, tell them what you think. And I don't know about all trainers, but I know me and my trainers, we're going to be 100% open to listening, changing strategies, explaining it so you feel comfortable with it, things like that. And if you're not comfortable, we'll stop. We don't want to do anything with and that's why we train dogs in front of you too, because we want full accountability. I don't want to do anything with your dog behind closed doors that you can't see me doing. I have no need for that.
No.
I want to do everything with you watching me, with you right there. So that way, and I'm not saying trainers that take your dog away and do boot camps are bad. I'm just saying, me personally, I want accountability. I want you to see exactly what I'm doing. Exactly, 100%.
The thing as well with Wonder Dog is we always say to them, we're doing this together. We build that relationship. So please talk to your trainer.
100%. My suspicion though for like why people just don't listen to the trainer though is because like hiring, they don't actually necessarily want their dog. I think they want their dog to stop doing the thing, but they don't want to put in the work to get their dog to stop doing the thing. So let me explain. So you could want your dog to like come and called off leash, and I could train your dog to do that. But if we're doing it together where I'm showing you what to do, I'm teaching your dog, showing you what to do, and then getting you to do it in front of me. And then your job is to practice 20 minutes a day when I'm not there. And then you don't do it for some reason. Or we're using a collar for training your dog. And then you just don't use the collar in training because I don't really need it or I don't really want to or whatever. That is where it becomes problematic because it's like, yeah, I'm going to get you the results, but I can only get you the results if you actually are doing the stuff I'm instructing you to do.
Got to maintain it.
Exactly. So my suspicion for this is that people want their dogs to stop doing the things they don't want them to do, but they don't want to put in the work to actually get them to stop doing the things that they don't want them to do. So I think the best thing to compare this to is like, I don't know how many millions of people have gym memberships in America and then just don't use them. I know me, I have a gym membership and I use it regularly, but
Yes,
there's a
you
lot
do.
of people that have a gym membership that want to lose weight. They want to get in better shape, but then they don't go to the gym. But having the gym membership makes them feel better about the possibility of, oh, I could lose weight or get in shape in the future, or buying a gym membership on New Year's Day because it's their resolution to get in shape this year makes you feel better. It gives you the dopamine spike. Okay, I'm actually taking action. I'm doing this. I'm buying new shoes. I'm getting new workout clothes. That makes you feel better, but you don't see the results until you put in the work to get the results. It's the same thing with dog training. You can call me because your dog has a list of problems a mile long and you've got a goals list a mile long, but and hiring me might make you feel better. It might give you the dopamine of like, oh, I'm actually taking action on this. I'm going to get my dog trained. This is going to be perfect.
And you can tell your friends, I've got a dog trainer.
Exactly. Yeah. And there's definitely probably a status thing involved there as well, where it's like, oh, yep, I hired a dog trainer. This is awesome. But then they actually don't want to do the work that's required. And so, we guarantee our results. A lot of dog trainers don't do that and they're not really willing to put that stamp behind their work. I'm not throwing shade, but we guarantee our results.
We do.
We only guarantee, but there's an asterisk though. There's like some fine print. If you do your 20 minutes of homework per day, and if you don't, I'm not going to guarantee your results. I'm not going to come out to your house a million times and train your dog if you're not going to listen to what I tell you, or you're not going to practice.
No.
Or you do practice, but then you're not doing it how I tell you to because you don't think your dog needs to do this or doesn't need to do that. Once again, if you have a problem with what I'm telling you, ask me, talk to me. If you think you know something that I don't, ask me, talk to me, but don't just not listen, because it's very frustrating for me as a dog trainer and for all of our dog trainers that have clients that don't listen. That's the number one biggest mistake that I see people making. The second biggest mistake that I see people making is, I guess real quick, before I tie a bow on that, do you have any other thoughts on that or comments on that? Like number one?
No,
Okay.
I don't, because that is, I think you covered that very thoroughly.
All right. Well, okay. Well, the second biggest mistake that I see dog owners making is they just stop doing what works. So breaking that down a little bit more. So like, let's say that you hire us for training and, 6 to 8 weeks, we turn your dog into a wonder dog. Life's great. It's awesome. Everything's going really well for you and your dog. Then just one day, for some reason, you just stop doing what works. So a really simple one is, let's say we train your dog on door manners, right? So what's door manners? For those that don't know, it just means your dog waits till they're told a word, a password, or a leash command to go through the threshold of the door, right? This is really helpful for, one, bringing guests into your home. If you're getting an Amazon package and you open the door your dog doesn't just slide out behind you whenever you go to grab your package. Exactly. And then your dog has really great door manners. And then for some reason, you just stop making them wait for their password. And then you just start opening the door and just let them, and you just start letting them go out through the door. That's a real big one. Like, that's just one example, but that's a big one. I would just be an example of like letting the behavior slide over time, or, and so they just stop doing what works. Another one would be, let's say that we're using like a prong collar for walking or something like that. Cause we just had a family call us back not too long ago that was like desperate to need their dog to be retrained on walking on a leash, because this dog had pulled the owner down, and now the owner's, and he's an elderly gentleman, and his sons were wanting him to get rid of the dog. And he's like, no, I don't want to get rid of my dog. I love my dog. So they called us back out, and I go in and I'm talking to him and stuff. And now they're walking their dog on a harness. And every time their dog sees a squirrel or something, it'll pull after this squirrel. And it's like a big, like pit bull mix, super cute, super sweet dog. But now he's wearing a harness. And like, I know for a fact we didn't ever do that in training. And so, especially for walking on leash. And so I throw the prong collar on the dog. We reintroduce the dog to door manners, which they hadn't kept up with either. And then we start walking the dog. Who would have known? The dog remembers its training. It's walking on leash nicely. It's loose leashing really well. It's heeling really well. The dog remembers his training, but his owners hadn't kept up with it. And so one day, I don't know how it starts. It probably starts with like a slow slide. I don't imagine that they just went from like prong collar to harness one day, or they just started letting their dog bolt out the door. It probably starts in smaller increments than that, where it's like one day the dog, stands up before he's told to go out the door. And so then he, now he's, okay, well, I can just stand before my owner says I can go out the door. And then he kind of nuzzles his way out the door, and they're like, okay, whatever. It's not a big huge deal. And then next thing you know, your dog's just walking out the door, or you're not correcting your dog whenever your dog gets the end of the leash and starts pulling you every time he sees a squirrel. So maybe the first day that your dog pulls, he doesn't pull you that bad, but then each day it gets a little bit worse until the point where, now this guy just got pulled down by his dog, right?
That's it. injury.
Yeah. And so I could give you a number of examples. We get called out for what we call regression lessons, where a dog like slips up on training, needs to go back out. And like the first question I ask people whenever I go back out and do these is like, hey, when's the last time you did training with your dog, or your dog wore the collar? Oh, it was 6 months ago. Okay. Why? Like, if this was working for your dog, then why did we stop? You know, it's like, and I get the idea. The goal with balanced training long-term is like where we don't have to shake a bag of snacks to get your dog to listen every day. And you also, or every time, and you also don't have to correct your dog every time. Your dog just listens because you ask it to, and you tell your dog to listen and they listen, right? That's the long-term goal. But somewhere in there, if you just stop doing what works, the results are going to go away, right? I always tell people when they graduate, just because training's, quote, over doesn't mean it's over, right? Like you got to keep up with all the stuff that your dog learned in training, or it's not going to be, you just wake up tomorrow and your dog's training's gone from today, and tomorrow your dog's training's gone. But over the course of 6 months, you can pretty well untrain your dog if you don't keep up with the standards that were set during training. And so those are the two biggest mistakes that I see dog owners making after I get to, the privilege of training their dog, or while I'm training their dog. The third biggest mistake, though, is the one that you just said. So we're going to add a third one onto this. This one's just not practicing. And man, I can't tell you how bad this frustrates our trainers, because during the sales process, not only do we tell people on the phone whenever they're doing their screening call, yes, you have to practice with your dog. But then in the appointment, we tell them their sales appointment, we tell them multiple times, yes, you have to practice with your dog multiple times a day. We mention it with a guarantee. We say it right before you leave. We say it multiple times throughout the evaluation process. You have to practice. And then people do really good until about halfway through their program. And I think that's when their excitement is peaked, because they get super excited to get started. Weeks, 1, 2, and 3 are super fun. And then kind of tankers off after that. I don't really think there's a really great excuse for not practicing outside of some sort of family emergency, you getting sick, somebody getting sick, somebody getting hurt, death in the family, something like that. Those are all very justifiable excuses, right? And so those are all very real things. Life happens, and we have a lot of grace for that. But if you're like, I just didn't practice today because it rained. Okay, I get it. I understand it's raining outside, but you can't just not do
practice in
something.
The house.
Okay, what if it rains for a week? What if it rains every day for 4 days? Are you just going to skip half the week practicing with your dog? Or why don't you do something inside with your dog and just work on your door manners or work on your place and stay? Okay, maybe you hadn't learned anything inside yet. Okay, could you walk laps around in your house with your dog?
Yes,
could you train your dog on something super basic in the house? Could you do? There's never really a great excuse to not practice or whatnot. Just because you're having a bad day, it's like, okay, well, just because you're having a bad day doesn't mean that you should not train your dog, right? Who knows? Maybe if you train your dog, you have a better day, right? Because it goes really well and you have a lot of fun. So that's and that really frustrates our trainers, because we go out and we give them our all to show the dog what to do, and then show them what to do, and then have them do it in front of us and coach them and guide them through everything. And then we text them at the end saying, this is your homework, this is your goal of the week. And then we even have them reply saying they agree to practice, and then they just don't practice, and it's very frustrating for us. And normally, the owners will sometimes tell themselves like, oh yeah, I haven't been practicing. Thanks for the honesty. Appreciate it. But you don't have to tell me, because your dog's going to tell me.
Exactly.
Your dog can't lie to me, but you can, but your dog won't, because I know if you practice or not if I come out a week later and you've been practicing how we showed you, even making some room for some mistakes in practice, and you're not practicing perfect, your dog's still going to be better off than he was the previous week, unless you're just doing things completely wrong. But the likelihood of that's pretty low, especially if you're working with a trainer. So anyways, that's the third biggest one, is just people not practicing.
And dogs love the training. It's fun.
Yeah.
A trained dog is a happy dog, happy owner.
Yeah, 100%. And so anyways, with all that being said,
do you think it's to do with expectations, though, that they think just because the dog's done it once, that, they know it now? Because I know, let's say for a human, if you were learning a foreign language and you went to one lesson, do you think you'd never have to practice again? You think you're going to be fluent after that one lesson? No.
Yeah. I mean, do you think you can go to the gym one time and get in shape? That's not how anything in life works.
Can I tell you something really funny?
Go ahead.
Okay. So back in the UK, I was going to Weight Watchers, and all the time you were talking, I'm thinking, you're changing your way of life.
Right.
Like with going to the gym, you're changing your way of life. Training a dog, you're changing your way of life.
With your dog.
With your dog. Dogs learn what they live, just like children. Well, I was going to Weight Watchers. Okay, it's a confession time. And I would go get weighed and lose some weight. and I'd go home and I'd go straight to the
Celebrate.
chip shop to celebrate a weight loss. I didn't change my way of life. So guess what? I really didn't lose lots of weight.
I am sure that anybody that has tried to lose weight can relate to what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. I used to go to the gym for a full week and then eat like 6 cookies on a Friday and a Saturday night because I'm like, heck yeah, I went to the gym all week. Let's celebrate. And so, yeah, I think everybody can relate to that. Yeah.
Yeah, but I was just thinking all the time you're talking and you're changing weight, dogs away of life. I was like, girl, you just made more excuses than I don't know what. But yeah,
Yeah.
keep it. You need to keep up
Yeah.
the changes
Yeah.
to maintain that progress.
100%. Tony Robbins, one of the like greatest like motivational speakers, performance coaches of all time. He always says repetition is the mother of all learning or mother of all skill, something like that. That might be paraphrased, but you get the gist. It's like to teach something, to learn something, you got to do it over and over and over and over.
Repetition.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
You got to do it over and over and over again. If you do, you'll get it. If you don't, you won't get it. So, anyways, that's the 3 biggest mistakes. 1, just not doing what your dog trainer tells you to. 2 is, 3, I know, is not practicing. Number 2, though, is stop doing what works. So, those are the 3 big ones that I see that are mistakes that people make. And I think you could save yourself a lot of headache. You could save your dog a lot of headache and confusion. And you could, if you just, do what your trainer tells you, practice, and then you keep doing what works long periods of time, that's it.
Stop wasting the financial investment that you've made.
Yeah. Yeah.
Commit.
100%. If you want
Absolutely.
to pay us for training and not do it, that's on you. But I know this. I would prefer that you pay us money for training, and then get great results.
Get results.
Yeah.
And then just enjoy the dog for the next decade plus.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, well, that's it for Dog Talk. Those are the 3 biggest mistakes. Like I said, this is not to judge anybody. I'm not judging anybody. I want you to have a great relationship with your dog. I want you to enjoy your dog without all the frustrating behaviors and stuff. So this is not judging you. If you do feel judged, it's probably because you're not doing one of those 2 or 3 things. Yeah, exactly. Just like Sally was owning her Weight Watchers with eating chips. So, own it. And, everybody makes mistakes, but at the same time, if you're making mistakes, fix it. So with that being said, that's it. Those are the 3 big ones. Once again, if you got value out of the show, if you're planning on hiring a dog trainer, now you know what not to do, if you got value out of the show, though, feel free to share the show. Please share the show. We're trying to grow this organically. Every time you share it with a friend, a family, colleague, something like that, you are helping us accomplish our mission, which is really just helping families just like you with their dogs and enjoy them without all the frustrating things. With that being said, feel free to share the show. If you do want help with training or you need training, we've got training locations in person. So if you want to find out where we're located at, which cities we're located at, you can go to wonderdogtraining.com and see a list of in-person locations that you can hire us there. If you are not in one of our in-person locations, but you still want Wonder Dog Training anyways, I don't blame you. You can go to trainmywonderdog.com. There you'll be able to check out our online group program. There's a really cool quiz that you can take there to figure out what program would work best for you and your dog. And then, there's also coaching options available there as well. And then lastly, whatever platform you're on, whether it's Spotify, YouTube, whatever other platform people listen to this kind of stuff on, feel free to like, follow, subscribe, whatever it is, and join us each week because we're going to keep doing these for a long time. So feel free to join us on the journey. And that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
All right. We'll see you on the next podcast, gang. And that's it. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.